Hey guys, today we're going to be replacing a switch on my train layout, Model Railroad. Yeah, so the issue that I had previously with that gradient problem, there was a switch that we replaced, which I'll show you guys in just a second, but I'm going to be going over my soldering, kind of my techniques, how I do it. I don't really have any techniques, I guess, but just how I do it. So yeah, let's jump into the video. First, I'm going to show you guys what the problem is. Alright guys, so it's right outside the yard here. As you can see, I've already fitted the switch, making sure it fits. I just grabbed a switch off of eBay, number 6. So, but the issue was that when the train runs over, so I can get over here just a little more. If you guys can see, so I forgive me, but I forgot what these two rails, sorry, my hand's in the way. I forgot what these two rails are, what their official name is. But they're too low, and I've already tried lifting them up from the bottom. I forget all my terminologies for switches. I never really learned them. But so this piece, I tried lifting it up because sometimes it'll sink. Like if there's a hole under here, it'll sink down, and then it doesn't. That's your issue. But no, these rails are just kind of low. So whenever you're running, your rails just go like this. Which causes an issue. So, especially these smaller wheels, for instance, on, steam engines and rolling stock, the lead wheels on the locomotives and things, they run off that, and that's the issue. So, I'm going to be fitting the switch, and then I'm going to be taking this switch off. I'll be showing you guys time-lapse, and then kind of going over what I've done, if there's anything that I think I kind of want to talk to you guys about other than you guys can just see. But I'll be doing a time lapse from looking at this, showing you guys what I'm doing. In order, I'm going to be, so I fit it, and now I'm going to unsolder it from all the connections and take it off, and then I'll be resoldering this one in, and then I'll need to probably, I may need to sand down, fit the edges, make sure everything's running properly before we're good. So it's really not that difficult. It could just be difficult when you're starting, and it was for me. But I've done plenty of soldering now. I haven't actually done soldering for about probably 6 months now. Now that I've had all my track done, I've been working on other scenery stuff. I have some track left to do, but anyway, still. So hopefully I'm not too rusty on it. But yeah, so let's get started. And another interesting thing here to note, guys, I also wanted to go over, so one tool I forgot, you always want a good pair of rail nippers. They come in handy, even if you don't do model railroading, just building models. These things are very good. You just type in rail nippers, you should find them. Always have a pair of those. Those are one of my, that and hobby knife would be my most used tool. But when you're taking this off, you guys may have wondered, you can't see much farther than, about here, I think. So you may have wondered why I took this one off first, because it seems like I might want to take this one off, and then you can kind of pull it around. You can kind of pull it around this way, and then it'll be easier to just pull that off. But what you guys can't see is that I have, because I've been working, there we go. Oop, sorry about that. Down here, I've been working on this section of the track down here, so it's all loose, this whole area, versus this main line is only loose to about there, because I was working, there, about here, that's where the tack is, because I was working on the elevation, and I didn't really want to shake this around quite as much, so I was able to just kind of pry it. Man, I keep forgetting to move the camera for you guys. I'll re-say what I just said there, so you guys can see. I didn't want to move it around too much and mess up some of my, what I've been working on before with the elevation and all that, this stuff. It is glued on, but I still didn't want to catch it or pull it off. Sometimes that can happen, or melt it too much. So I took this one off first because it was easy to just kind of pry, and this one was loose. Thankfully, this one was loose down here. That one would have been a lot of issue if, you know, it was really tight in there, because sometimes then you have to take it on all the way off this way, and, you know, this is already off, but you kind of have to take it, and then you have to pull all the tracks apart just to be able to get it off. It can be quite, if it's too tight, which you want it tight when you know, do your layout, that is exactly how you want your track to be, but when you want to replace it, it makes it all the more difficult. So, but you don't want to have to replace it, so you want it as tight as you can. But thankfully for this one, that's also why this one, I think this whole end here kind of got messed up. The rails are kind of, you know, loose, and it just needs to be replaced. So yeah, now we're just gonna take this off, and we'll start looking at this and fitting it in. I may need to replace. I'll look at these. I may need to replace all. Sometimes it's easier just to take all the rail joiners off of these, just because they get all covered in solder. Especially when I started soldering, my older layout, I hadn't done a whole lot of soldering. So it can be best to just just take them off, because I had put a ton of solder on there. You don't, if it's a good solder, you don't necessarily need to, but sometimes you will. So I'll see. Some of them may need to be taken off, some of them won't. Yeah, so now let's get unsoldering this. Alrighty, so now you guys can see, now that it's off, once it focuses, there we go. You guys can see how these were it was just coming apart, and I don't know if I can get a good enough angle. Even when that's pushed up, you can see how there's just that lip, so any wheels going over, if anything, this one sometimes needs, this one, especially this side of the rail, well, yeah, if anything, these should be higher than the actual rail. I believe that's actually normally how they are, because it's not going to mess it up. If your train is going this way, you want it to catch this side, and it's not going to catch this side anyway. But oops, you guys can, yeah, see, this whole end is just about ready to come apart. It's all, I kind of babied it along, but it just wasn't a good section. It was a good piece of track until I kind of ruined it when I soldered it, but also it's kind of cheap, and some of these are falling apart, and it's an older piece, so it's good to get it out and replacing it. So now we'll get soldering in the new piece. Yeah, we're almost done. Soldering in is not actually that difficult. Might be a little more difficult than putting it on in the first place, taking it out, I mean, because you have to set it, you know, I can hold it correctly, but yeah, we might as well get started. Alrighty guys, well, run into quite an issue. Apparently the guy who had these just couldn't manage to do so much as take these off, and they're not even half off, you know, like half off. You just kind of mess around with it and slide the next one in. You know, that's fine. No, he shoved them in here and left them. And the solder he used is apparently unmeltable, because there's a little bit on the edge here, which ever so barely melted, but it was not really movable. So, yeah, as you can see there, I couldn't really get it off. That's the thing, is they're so far in there, then it's melting all this, the plastic here, the ties and all that, and loosening the actual rail from the ties, which then that's the same issue that I had with the previous switch. So, I'm not entirely sure what I need to do. And of course, there's like a little lip hanging off here, and so the only problem is that it just doesn't. I don't know if I can. I can't really widen the other ones here. I have to fit over these, so I'll mess around a little bit and see if I can figure out a way to do this. Otherwise, yeah, we'll just have to see. Alrighty, well, I'm going to work on that, and I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, so this one, I actually got two. You sent me two, but this one, I'm gonna try super gluing, see if that works, and then I might try pulling all the other ones off. But sorry, there we go. Focused, ish, no, sort of, I guess. There we go. But my goodness, there we go. So it did come off. This rail came off. I tried prying it off with, of course, nail clippers. They'll go through stuff, but they're very effective. So I just pried it off, the side, but it ripped this whole rail off to about here, which is basically the issue that I had with the other one. This one's in there a bit more. It's not gonna go anywhere, but I'm gonna try super gluing it just to make sure, and then I'll probably try to take the other ones off. But the other one he sent me only had one that was basically just, if it was on, so there's one on this end, they just chopped it like that. So that was easier to pry off, and that one kind of popped off. But now I broke the connector. Where'd it go? I had it here. Anyway, this middle section here kind of came off, and it is a little loose now, but I think it'll be fine. So I think that'll still work, and then this one, if we just melt it, and it should melt on with these pretty well. These already have some solder on them, but so I should be able to fix it. But it got me a little worried there, like, oh great, because I've had actually some issues with some other switches, so just kind of like now I'm delayed again. So, but I think we're back on track, and we'll see if this one works. So, behold, I got it pretty well finished. The soldering wasn't great because I think I need to replace my tip. The solder isn't sticking to the tip very well, but it got the job done. It was a little messy, so now I'm gonna run the train over it a few times and just see, because I think it looks pretty good just in, of course in theory, but then, as we all know, that doesn't always quite, in theory, especially in moderating, things will work, and then you try to use them, and then there's a derailment over sometimes seemingly nothing. So, yeah, so we'll run it, and I'll see how it works. I'm going to be running my Brookshire just to see, that is my base engine currently. In terms of wheels and complicity, it would be the most likely to derail, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I'll get that running in just a second. All right, now for the tense moment. It's always like, get a bunch of work done, and it derails. There we go, forwards. Here we go. All right. Looking good so far. I'm not gonna be running this, I'm just trying to get the main line working. Okay, something's caught. Somewhere there's a click. Catches. Oh, I think it's probably just solder. I haven't cleaned up the edges yet. I'll come back with the Dremel a little later and just kind of clean the edges up. Yeah. There's a little. Oop, that shorted it. Right here, there's a piece of solder. I'll come back and shave that off with the Dremel some other time. But we'll run it this way. Yeah, this, because I'm going to have to re-elevate this whole yard area, so that'll be a whole nother project. Hopefully this summer I can get that done. I have some other stuff that I'm going to be working on the layout, some other things, but it'd be nice to get that done.
It's looking pretty good so far. Let me run it over just a little faster, and then I know I'll be satisfied with it. This. Yeah, looking good. There's a little dip here because I need to fix that. Nice, nice. Alrighty. Well, I'd say that is I'd say that is a successful solder.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Gonna be coming up videos. If you guys tell me if you want to know whatever videos you guys want the most. I'm gonna go over a few different things that will be coming up in the near probably about a month. So I've been working on that Sherman Easy 8. I've got one side mudded, basic weathering starting. I get the whole model done and decaled, except for actually I think I still may have a few decals left. I just wanted to try this out. So I'll probably do somewhat of a weathering video on that. And then probably before that, I'm hoping to do the half track. I've already got 3 of them done, but there's a 4th one that I'm saving to do in a video. So you guys can kind of comment on which one you'd like to see first. I'll probably end up doing this one first, and then it'll follow up with this, just because this is more weathering, and then this is building. But the weathering for Flames of War models is pretty simple because they're so small. You're not trying to fit a lot of detail in. For instance, something 1/48 is kind of bigger, and you're trying to fit, you can actually see the mud clumping up a lot better than you can on a 1/100th scale. So make sure to tell me down below what you guys want to see, or suggestions, what you guys are interested in for Thursday's video, Sunday's video. Speaking of Thursday's video, tell me what you guys would like to play. Hoping to have the ARL 44 by Thursday, and that might be what Thursday's video is about. We'll kind of see. It would probably be the really good ARL 44, but we might wait till April to do that, because I always think of ARL, April, I always think of ARL 44. So yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.